Hey, how's it going, connectors? Welcome to another fresh episode of Staying Connected, where we find connections through open and honest conversations. There's too much emphasis on differences that we forget that we're just one big community. We seek to learn about life lessons, experiences, setbacks, and vulnerabilities of one another. How's it going, guys? I'm Kenny.
And I'm Scott. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So for today's episode, it's about inspirations. Basically, who is your biggest inspiration? And I had thoughts about this, and usually I want to say something heartwarming and nice, like, oh yeah, it's my family from the start, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought the same too. I was like,
When you're so young, you just don't understand what your mom and dad or your siblings are doing for you. Not until you're much older that you realize, oh man, they did do a lot for me,
yeah.
and now they're my inspiration. But truth be told, I didn't really have a inspiration or main source of inspiration growing up all the way until like my college years, because I don't know, I think I didn't branch out like I wanted to, and I was just in this mode of just doing whatever I want to do, and there's really no one to look up to until now. Just to cut it super short, my main inspiration is Jocko Willink.
Oh,
You know who that is?
yes, I kind of read about him a little and all that. So
What do you know? What do you know
tell
about
us
him?
more. Well, served in the military, and he's also a podcaster like us, and yeah, I mean, not too much.
Right.
Educated.
So he's a Navy SEAL. He's a business person. He's so many things: a podcaster, a writer. He's known for one of his main phrases, which is discipline equals freedom. I don't know. Actually, no, I know how I got into him. I was watching Joe Rogan, and then he was one of the guests on the shows. And I think it was one of my first time listening to a podcast. This was before I listened to a podcast on a regular. Like when I'm walking, when I'm eating, when I'm just doing nothing. So I was listening to this guy talk, and at first I'm like, oh, I know most of the time when I listen to military guys, they're not the most exciting person to listen to. It's always like the same message. But something about Jocko just drew me in. And
what kind of message, by the way?
So the overall in that episode, it was all about taking extreme ownership of your everything, taking extreme ownership. So whatever happens, don't look to blame it on other people. Don't look to cast stones on the person you should blame most is yourself. And here's why. The moment you start taking ownership of your problems, then you can start to get on the path to fixing it or getting better at it, right? Because the moment you start blaming on other people, it becomes like, oh, I don't need to work on myself because it's that other person's fault. I don't need to start fixing this because they need to fix themselves first. So nothing really changes, when you start blaming other people. Once you start taking ownership, you start to fix that. You start to fix, things that are wrong with yourself. When you start taking ownership, people start to actually respect you, because every time something goes wrong, the natural reaction or the natural expected reaction is for someone to blame another person. So when you do take responsibility, do take a little ownership, people are taken back. They're like, oh, wow, this person is actually taking ownership. And then they start to trust you more, like, hey, that was my fault. Here's how I'm going to fix it. And then you start to build a relationship. You start to build rapport with the other person. And in my head, it started to click. That made so much sense. It's like all my life, I've just been blaming other people for my shortcomings. I've been blaming people whenever I haven't gotten what I wanted. So, by hearing that, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then he came to another point of sometimes the ego comes in. You take ownership, and then people start blaming you. and then you start getting mad from that. So like, for example, let's say I messed up at work, and a coworker's like, yeah, that's totally Scott's fault. And then I start getting mad at it. Then that defeats the purpose of extreme ownership. You start getting mad at it. The opposite should happen. You should be like, yes, exactly. That is my fault. Now this is how I'm going to fix it. Instead of, you take ownership because you feel good, and then someone blames you for it, and then you get mad, and that's very counterproductive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You get blamed for something, and you agree with that person. Yeah. Yes, you agree with that person. Yes, that is exactly my fault. Yes, I'm going to take ownership. Here's what I'm going to do. So a lot of people fall into that trap of like, yeah, extreme ownership. Everything's my fault. And then someone points it out and you get mad. Like, no, I was like, yes, it was my fault, but then that was out of my control. Who cares? Take complete ownership of everything, because let's say a project doesn't, you missed the deadline for that project, whatever you're doing. You like, yes, that's my fault. No, but let's say another person points out like, hey, Kenny, that was out your expectations. It was because of this other person that the deadline didn't get met. And you could be like, yeah, you're right. That wasn't my fault. That was someone else's fault. But no, it's completely your fault, because why? You could have communicated better. You could have checked in with this other person. Hey, is everything all right? You need more resources. You need more time. The deadline's coming up. So in a way, you take control of everything, then you stop the cycle of blaming and start the cycle of fixing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember us kind of touching base on, the idea of taking ownership and the whole ego matter of it. And yeah, I mean, we have to realize that, we're constantly going to be working with others. And, every now and then we tend to, maybe make mistakes, or, working in teams might not be kind of like the most awesomest thing you expect to have, but yeah, taking ownership and the whole word of blame is already, that's one word that we really have to try and work on and try to eliminate from any sort of teamwork that we that we see ourselves in moving forward. So
exactly. And I just realized that the moment I started to stop blaming other people and start, taking full responsibility for everything, the better my life got. It's like I no longer seek someone else to take the fall for my actions or inactions. I started to look for different ways for me to get better at things. I started to look for ways on how could I prevent future shortcomings like that. So I started communicating more at work. I've started
communication.
I started looking for future outcomes and look for different possible ways for me to solve a problem, whether it's in personal, like my relationships, the way I treat other people, So it just blossomed into all the avenues in my life. And I started on the journey of listening to podcasting because people don't understand. It's kind of like having a mentor when you listen to podcasts. You learn so much from other people. You basically stand on the shoulders of giants, instead of learning everything brand new and fresh that you don't know. You learn it from people that have already done it. You learn from their perspective. And for myself, it's like other people have made these same mistakes. I don't need to make the same mistakes. I can learn from their mistakes. I can learn from their problem solving. So it'll save me a lot more time. And once I start to realize that, it's like, okay, I'm on to something. I'm on to better leadership and better teamwork, better collaboration, better problem solving.
Yeah.
So, I
mean, what I like about, listening to podcasts, it's helps with some sort of guidance along the way. It's like what you said. um, these people kind of tell their stories, their mistakes, their trials and tribulations, challenges, and they kind of share on how they overcame everything. And, it gives us some sort of confidence and understanding of, what not to do and what to do instead. So it's definitely been a great asset to, learn from each podcast we listen to.
For sure. So what other podcasts do you listen to?
Well, there are, here, I pull up some right now. I've had like a small list. Well, Staying Connected. It's not really Staying Connected.
On Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah. So we have quite a few. So the Gary V experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary V.
That was like one of the first ones that I jumped on because, a lot of people recommended that to me as well. And, it's kind of like, they have these weekly episodes and all of that. And, the topic changes just like ours. And, we learn about different things each week. And yeah, it's definitely motivating and, good to hear other people's stories. So that's, kind of the reason why I was motivated into starting this podcast as well. It's just to share and also, maybe provide some guidance, just like how we were inspired by other podcasters, mentors, with their experiences as well. So,
if there's anything that this podcast has given us, or especially me, is that like I hope whoever's listening is getting a lot of gain and a lot of benefits out of this. But the main person that's learning the most is me.
Yeah,
I've learned so much, too many things about myself with this podcast, and it's great. Every time I listen to an episode, there's something that I can pick out. It's like, oh, I did that very well. When I organized my thoughts and I explained myself, that was very clear. Okay, well, how did I do that? What was my thought process leading up to that? And then there are things that I pick out, like, oh, I need to work on that. I need to work on my posture, my body language. My lighting needs a little working. So it's just the little things that I pick up here and there, but I've gained probably the most from starting this podcast. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, I totally feel the same way too, just being able to share my experiences and, kind of step back a bit and then realize, it's okay, to share these stories and also to find ways on how to learn from our experiences and also getting feedback from you and anybody that's listening or watching as well. This is kind of like our diary, you could say,
Sure.
allowing us to, give you a glimpse of who we are and also for us to, just realize our self at the end of every episode. We give out these recommendations. We, share our challenges, insecurities, all of that. And it's definitely something that, we enjoy sharing. And it's, building kind of like our relationship as well. So,
like one of the biggest things I've wanted to develop for the last couple of years is learning how to articulate myself better, learning how to be a better storyteller, learning how to combine and make the sentence flow much better than I did before. And I think that's one of the hardest things about, just public speaking in general.
There's a structure to it as well.
Yes, and just listening to myself before, like I used to hate listening to my voice, but that's the thing. You need to start somehow, and I'm glad we did this. And I feel every episode that we do, I get a little bit better, and hopefully by episode 100 or episode 500, I'm quite articulate. I'm able to get my point across clearly without all the mumbles or the ahs and the ums. without
Yeah.
taking long pauses. So that way I can pass that skill on to, people who are listening, my kids, who
Yeah,
knows?
they could probably like, take over the Staying Connected
Yeah. Staying
empire.
connected, the second generation.
The second generation. But that's far and beyond right now.
So going back to that Gary Vee podcast, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned listening to his podcast?
I mean, kind of just, not being afraid to speak your mind, and also to, you know, we make mistakes along the way. And, we as adults, we have to learn from our mistakes. And, you know, say like, for example, we're, I would say, there's like so many, just like in the workplace as well, like taking ownership, all of that. Say if I made a mistake, take ownership of that. We learn our lesson. We have to learn our lessons. That's completely, important in order for us to grow, kind of thing. So, yeah, just learning from our mistakes.
So has there been a recent example of you learning from that mistake? Like what was the mistake?
Yeah, I think recently forgetting about deadlines, kind of thing. So, I had this recent project that I needed to finish like that day, and then I totally forgot about it till 2 days after, until I got a email coming back to me and saying like, why wasn't this completed?
Right.
And then, a part of me wanted to be like, well, I had other stuff on my plate, and it's constantly busy. But then, I did make a note of it. I just didn't remember. So I basically, owned up to that mistake, and then just said, oh, I do apologize, and let me work on this right now. And, I just took care of it, and then everything was fine after that.
So moving forward, how are you gonna not run into that problem again?
Well, I've been, setting my whole list of what I do for each day, and then, checking it off as I go. And then also setting calendar reminders as well. I constantly have been doing that now. So, yeah, losing track of time has, every now and then.
So what does Gary Vee recommend? Because I've listened to a few episodes about the same topic, about having too many things on your plate. One of the advice that I've listened to is, I'm not sure if this applies to you in your workplace, but being quite selective of what you can and can do. Because I know sometimes those thorough projects that you guys,
Yeah,
but other times, you do have control of how many
you do.
projects that you take on. So is it like the case of just too many you're taking on right now, or?
Pretty much, you could say. It's like, I mean, I kind of know my strengths and also weaknesses. So if there's something that, comes upon me that I feel like I could, do this, then, I tend to just like say yes. And that's one thing that I'm trying to work on too, trying to say no. Even if I know that I can do it. And yeah, so being very selective is pretty key into, finding some sort of balance with your personal and work life as well.
Why do you think you take on so many projects? Is it to impress your boss? Is it to
That's one part of it. And it's kind of like a little bit of fear of missing out, because there's a lot of fun projects that I want to take on, but at the same time, if I don't have enough time to finish all of them at a certain deadline, then it's it's gonna, yeah, in the end it's gonna bite me in the ass. Just like the email coming, yeah, back. But it was, yeah, it's something that I, you know, am working on moving forward. Just
Hey,
like,
we'll get an update next week.
yeah.
All right, so
It's like, you know, I'm working on the idea of saying no, even if I want to say yes so bad. Yeah, fear of missing out.
yeah, there is definitely there's a podcast on that called FOMO, by Patrick McGinnis. Highly recommend you check that out. He talks a lot about that, being selective with the quality of work and how it's, FOMO. Yeah, it's called literally FOMO. It's on Spotify, on YouTube. FOMO by Patrick McGinnis. I believe it's McGinnis. So check that out. I think you would really enjoy that kind of podcast, Kenny.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with my situation specifically, like taking on these projects, you know, quality is important, and when you take on too much, when the quantity kind of increases, the quality is kind of like, you know, it slowly decreases because you wanna like finish it up as soon as possible. So.
And that's the one thing about the workplace, and I've had that same pressure of trying to do too much, trying to build that reputation of like, oh, that's Kenny, that's Scott, that's the guy that gets things done, that's the guy that, you know, it's a team. You're trying to be a team player by helping everybody, but the matter of fact is you're just taking time away from doing the high, like you said, high quality work that you should be doing. That's the reputation that you want to have for yourself as the guy that does a great job, you know, but he only does a great job on the projects that I think I worded that wrong. Basically, having the reputation of a guy that does high quality jobs, you know, but since you're known for doing high quality jobs, they're going to give you harder projects, harder cases, and those typically turn into the more interesting or fun projects to do, since they wouldn't give like a minor project to, you know, a guy with that reputation.
Yeah.
So that way you can satisfy both things at the same time, having that reputation and having those fun and interesting projects. So yeah, it's tough, but you can't have both worlds. You got to pick either or.
Yeah. So yeah, something to work on. And yeah.
And going back to the biggest lesson that we've learned, especially for me, from my biggest inspiration. And I don't think I asked you about your biggest inspiration. We'll get to that in 1 second.
Yep.
One of the things about extreme ownership is in the title itself. Some people could take extreme ownership so much, or to the extreme, that they start to take away responsibility. They take too much blame. You know, like for example, we'll go back in the workplace, because I've seen this happen so many times, especially for myself, of how I'll take ownership of everything. Like I want to do this, I want to do that, you know, because I want to take ownership of everything, and then I start sucking all the energy out of the room. I start doing everything for everybody. That it starts to wear me out. It starts to make people feel very irrelevant because I'm doing everything. Like, oh, don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. Don't worry about this. I'll take care of this. Then it just takes away people's responsibility. It takes away people's basically joy and fun in like working and things that they're passionate about, because I'm doing everything. I'm trying to, I'm basically doing for the ego when I take on everything. You know, I think that I'm helping the group, I'm helping the team, but in fact, I'm hurting them by doing everything. So sometimes as a good leader, you gotta tell the team or the group the objective and kind of just sit back and support. You know, and if anything goes wrong, you take ownership for it because you are that leader. And that's how it was in the beginning. I was just doing everything like how you were. You know, and then I didn't get a chance to detach and take a step back, which Jocko recommends doing a lot. Because when you're in the trenches, or you're doing everything at once, you don't see the overall picture. And that was something that I was doing to my coworkers and doing to my superiors. I thought that I was helping, but no, I was hurting. So do be careful. There is a big dichotomy in taking too much ownership. You need to find the right balance, that sweet spot, that Goldilocks zone. But yeah, that's probably one of the bigger lessons that I've learned. Yes, you can take ownership, but yes, you can take too much ownership.
Yeah.
So find that balance. So let's switch it to you, Kenny. Who is your biggest inspiration?
Well, going back to like the beginning, yeah, we definitely want to see our family as inspirations. They have been doing a lot for us since the day one. And if I had to choose someone that for myself, I also never had an inspiration like till after, I would say, yeah, right after high school. Okay, I think. So I think as of now, my biggest inspiration so far has been Anthony Bourdain. Yeah.
Yes.
So
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. So he is the reason why I, stepped out of my comfort zone to travel and live in a different country. And, for those of you that don't know who Anthony Bourdain is, he is a chef, journalist, author, and, just a world traveler that truly is the seed that planted my motivation to go to these countries. And I lived in Korea, studied abroad in Korea, also went to Japan as well. And watching his episodes growing up, he has definitely shown a lot of people kind of like the realities of these places that we see and learn about. And many times we see a lot of the glamour and the nice things about these places, but in his series called No Reservations specifically, whenever you get a chance, No Reservations, I highly recommend that. And he goes to these countries, let's say for example Korea, because I lived in Korea. Instead of staying in like Seoul and just the city life and all that, he does go out and eat a lot, but at the same time he shares some of the realities of it, and like places that a lot of tourists wouldn't know about. And share share a deeper meaning of the culture while traveling with locals. Travel and learning with locals pretty much. So yeah, for me to get that inspiration from him, I take it wherever I go. And he had a quote as well. It's a long one, but just gonna read a little bit. What he says, that travel isn't always pretty, it isn't always comfortable, sometimes it hurts, it even breaks your heart, but that's okay. The journey changes you, it should change you. It leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on your body. So those words really impacted me into making the decision to go abroad and step out of my comfort zone. Because when I first moved to Korea, that was my first time out of the country. And at 20 years old, I was excited, worried, and I was just more excited because Anthony Bourdain gave me that confidence to, just go out and experience it, even if you have these challenges along the way. And yeah, to this day, it's going to be like that. And moving forward, whenever we can travel again, it's his words, his, just his whole personality into diving deeper into these cultures really helped out.
I definitely see the mindset of being open-minded whenever you travel.
Yeah.
A lot of people they're scared about trying new and different things whenever they go abroad. That's why, and I see this with tourists too when I travel, is that when they go to a new place, they're worried about, oh, what's the food? Like they're not using gloves, they're not using masks, and then is it sanitary? And they end up going to like a McDonald's or something like
that's what I don't like about all of that stuff. And Anthony Bourdain himself, he eats off the street kind of thing, like street food. That's like one of the best places
I agree.
you can experience real cuisine from that culture. And being able to make friends with locals who know the area is also something that I tried to do as well when I went to Korea, building that relationship. And then, we talked about language barriers, cultural differences, all of that. And it's just, making that first approach into, we're all curious human beings. So we definitely want to learn more. There's always room to educate ourselves and also to learn from others who, know more about these places. And Anthony Bourdain, his series No Reservations has, been on for so many years, and it's something that, everybody should kind of look into. And I guess fast forwarding to today, that's another reason why I started my food blog. It's because Hawaii itself, it's a melting pot, and, actually telling the stories of these dishes and also learning more about the cultures behind it is what I wanted to explore even more.
I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about whenever you go to a new restaurant, and I usually like to ask the owner, like, oh, how did you get started? Or like, what's the history behind this?
Yeah.
If I see that they're very passionate in what they do and they start explaining everything, and for some reason the food just tastes better, where it's coming from, the hard work behind all of this. So I truly do appreciate when restaurant owners do that. A lot of times, I get it. Sometimes it gets busy and everything, and you can't really talk.
Yeah.
But sometimes when the food, like, you just get it, and then there's no aloha behind it.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell. You can definitely tell. So I did go to the West Coast.
West Side.
Why not? Yeah, West Side. We ate at this farm, and luckily there weren't too many customers there. But the owner was there just talking with us, and like he was explaining, like, oh, this is the process of how we plant these things, is how we pick it, how we process it. And it comes straight from the farm right to your table. This is the history. We've had this land for so many years. And in my head, I'm like, wow, now that I'm an adult, I really do appreciate all the little things behind it, the history, the culture behind it. Okay, why do you do that? Why do you cook it like that? Why do you plant these kind of food here? And okay, that makes sense now. Now I know what's going on my plate. I know the history. I know the culture, and everything just changes. Versus, like, I don't want to bag on fast food too much because it is still good, but there's no history and there's no culture behind that.
Yeah,
it's machine process, and it's there for efficiency rather than the hard labor of trying to put this dish together.
Yeah, I mean, labor and all the effort, like, for example, making kimchi. I was able to experience that making kimchi while I was in Korea, and here we just have it in the store. We just easily pick it up in those jars and then take it home, eat, and enjoy. But it's in Korea, they really take, they make kimchi constantly, and the labor, physical
It's an
labor
art
behind
there.
it, it is.
Art.
So yeah, Anthony Bourdain, he kind of touched base on that as well. And, he tries to cook these foods as well, which I found pretty interesting. It's like he ate and learned about those dishes and then eventually tried to make it himself. And yeah, that's one thing that I try to do as well. Learn
So,
or eat, learn, and cook.
so when you do travel,
Mhm.
now that you do what Anthony Bourdain does,
Yeah.
do you still do the tourist things? Let's say you take me. Let's say you take me to Korea. Okay,
Mm.
are we gonna be in more tourist areas, or where are you gonna take me?
No,
Let's go to Korea.
yeah. I mean, I will take you to these hole in the walls that a lot of tourists probably won't even go to. I lived in the countryside when I was living up there. I was far away from Seoul, the main city, so I basically had all of these mom and pop restaurants that's been around for many years, and I will take you to these street food markets um, automatically, and it's just feeling the energy of the market and also tasting the foods that are being cooked right in front of you and talking with these people that make the foods. It's definitely an experience you cannot really have when you're sitting in like some fine dining restaurant and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. So yeah, my goal is to share food and also have some sort of like conversation, storytelling type of feel whenever I want to share these places with people, because they have to understand how much effort goes into it. Not just waking up early to do it, but it's just being consistent with it. And everybody has to know that a lot of these street food vendors as well, they wake up super early, and um, that's basically their life. They have their house because of these markets, and it's
Like
crazy. Yeah.
it gets me fired up whenever the owner talks about like the process and the history and the culture of things. It gets me fired up when they're passionate about their food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It gets me real excited to try this kind of food when the owner has that infectious energy or the passion, wherever they're describing something that they've made. There's something very not very subtle, but I wish more owners would do more of us. But whatever you're doing, like have some pride in that, because you did that. The fruits of your labor for many hours, many years have accumulated to this one dish or this one item. So even if I know it's hard for me to say this because I'm on outside looking in. Like whenever someone asks about that, it's an opportunity to tell them your story. Yeah, so I'm real fired up to go to Korea. We've been talking about this for a while now.
So eventually that day will come. I mean, just in addition to like going to other countries and learning more.
I think Hawaii recently lifted. They had like I saw on one of our friends' posts about Korea how.
Oh yeah. So they're now allowing Korean citizens to travel to Hawaii with a pre-travel test, and yeah, so tourism will slowly pick up.
That's in November, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I gotta double
right.
check.
All right, I'm putting it out there right now, November.
November. So yeah, I mean, if you're listening, it's although we can't travel as much as before, still, take some time to watch Anthony Bourdain's series. It's definitely intriguing to just hear his conversations with the locals and the places that he visits, and all the foods. It's so delicious, and it's hopefully, yeah, whenever traveling is back to normal, then we'll just go out and have confidence, and instead of being scared, worried, just go.
I agree.
Yeah.
Who do you think, is there anyone you can think of that, I think it goes back to the beginning about parents and siblings or not, but is there anyone that just came out of the blue and said something or did something, and then it kind of became your inspiration? Like someone you hate, someone you didn't know, someone came out of the blue.
Maybe not someone if I go back to like my family and all that. So well, back in, how old was I? I was actually a freshman in high school. So sophomore in high school. And then my older brother, he recently graduated from high school, went into the military. So at 18 years old, yeah, he served in the military. And then all of a sudden, I guess during training, he himself had some sort of like flesh-eating bacteria that was traveling in his left leg. It's called like necrotizing fasciitis type of thing. And that disease he was forced to amputate his leg. So at 18 years old, fresh out of high school. And, he eventually did the surgery, and then the recovery period was, it was years, mentally and physically challenging. And, growing up and, being that supportive brother for my brother was pretty important. And he also had friends as well up in the mainland where he was stationed at. And it took many, 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 many years for him to recover and to, but, fast forwarding, I guess, to today, he's taking his physical challenges and, using it to inspire other people wherever he goes. He goes to the store, and then a lot of people would say, "Oh, what happened to you?" Because first thing they see is the leg.
Right.
So he does wear a prosthetic, and you can see it. So yeah, a lot of people just come up and say, "Oh, what happened?" At first, he was when he first got asked that, he was like kind of uncomfortable, but then over the years, he just started sharing about his story, and that inspired me to like he's overcame his physical challenges, and he's a normal person just like anybody else. And what is it, even if he doesn't physically have like his left leg, he didn't stop doing any like physical sports type of thing. He started getting into adaptive paddling and competing and all of that. And also it's just being able to have that support, and just having confidence in everything that he does. So yeah, that's my inspiration. It's like overcoming, no matter what you are physically, it's be proud of who you are. It comes within. It's not your physical appearance type of thing. So sharing
that's
the
powerful. Yeah. In your opinion, when was the moment that he came to terms with it? Because I know,
Mm.
you know,
So
it must have been extremely difficult in the
yeah,
beginning aspects.
yeah, I think that occurred when so he was in the mainland, and then when I graduated high school, we lived together. So during my entire college years, we lived together, and then he eventually jumped on the adaptive paddling um, organization, and that was kind of when, yeah, he started gaining more confidence in who he was and not being kind of embarrassed or shame of like his physical appearance kind of thing. And yeah, I constantly would just tell him, just go. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people staring, and sometimes it's just overwhelming. And what is it? We definitely had our experiences where we had to speak up and say like, "Oh, what are you looking at?" And um, yeah, a lot of people would just look away and just walk past after. And it's, yeah, there was definitely challenges whenever we went out as well. But for the most part, we definitely tried our best to, just he definitely tried his best to share rather than to, kind of get angry, too angry. So
I could see how, that could be
mm-hmm.
the instant reaction, or that
Yeah.
could be like the norm for someone. Because
Yeah, I think getting back into
the cards that you were down, exactly. I think for him, it would have been justified for him to get mad or be very sensitive or react the way that he did.
Mm-hmm.
But the humility that he showed, the perseverance and the resilience that he showed, and I hope to meet your brother one day. Hopefully, when we go to back to your home island.
Yep.
Hunt, and I would love to connect with him and
Yeah.
talk more and learn how you were when you were a kid through his eyes, because things like that they're just not easy at all. When you're very insecure about what happened, and even though it was out of your hands, you can't help but think, what have I done this? Could I have avoided that? And when you go out, it's like, I don't want to be here, and people are judging me, and you create up all these scenarios in your head, and it's a mountain to climb. It's truly a mountain to climb, and your brother is an astonishing human being for that.
Yes, I mean, yeah, he definitely holds the the idea of Mr. Aloha. Everywhere he goes, he's always trying to conversate and and just try to be friends and with everybody. And he takes the effort into learning about others as well. And I guess just on a side note, he's also a barber, certified barber, the only one back in my hometown. And
really,
yeah, so he's constantly just having these opportunities to share his story and also learn more about other people along the way. And yeah, definitely inspiring.
I think that's really hard to do, because after a traumatic experience, like everyone could easily go down the path of hatred and bitterness. Because I've personally seen it in my life where something traumatic happens to a person and they completely change.
Yeah.
They're no longer the happy person. They're no longer the outgoing person, and they just shut down. And instead, your brother took it as an opportunity to work with what he's got, to be positive, to learn about other people. So we need to get him on the podcast. My goodness.
I will. I'll reach out to him. He definitely would be,
if he wants to.
Yeah, if he wants to share his story and all that. But yeah, to this day, he's constantly just doing as much as he can, and yeah, just living life normally. pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like you look at people like that, and you gotta ask yourself, like, why can't I, even come at least 50% of my life? I need to change my mentality or something. But
Mhm.
what's the excuse?
Yeah.
What's the excuse?
That's that's the thing. I mean, he says no excuses as well. So tells me that a lot. No
Yeah.
excuses.
You only got one life.
Mhm.
You're only here on this earth for so long, and how long you're gonna be in it, you don't know. So whatever you're scared of, whatever you're afraid of, you're gonna look back. If you do it, you're gonna look back and say, "Man, why didn't I do it sooner?" You know,
So,
who cares when you're like 70 or 80?
yeah.
Are you gonna be worried about, oh, I did it, oh, I look like I look like an idiot? No, you're not gonna think that when you're 80. You're gonna think,
No.
I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
You
So,
look back 50, 60 years, it's like, does it matter how
whoa.
you're feeling now? Um, awesome.
So, anything for
And it's the
you?
same
Oh, yeah.
for myself. It's the same with family.
Mhm.
You never realize how rough your family has gone through it until you're an adult. You have a better perspective, and my
Mhm.
brothers are a big example of that. Even my parents too. We immigrated from Vietnam to here, and if you don't know about the Vietnamese culture or the Vietnamese government or what was going through that time, Vietnam is a communist country. And, I hear a lot of people talk crap about America and how it sucks, but
Mm.
you do not understand what it's like to be in a communist country where the government literally can make you disappear if you talk bad about them. Like over here, yeah, you can talk bad about the government, you talk bad about the president, whatever, and you'll be okay. In Vietnam, I
That's-
and I know it might get a little dark, but I've known people that publicly, they're like activists, they're publicly saying bad things about the government,
uh,
and then they have mysteriously disappeared.
ooh,
Like the next, yeah,
scary.
so it's quite scary. It's like people don't understand the scope of international affairs. It's like it's no joke. If you say bad things about the government, like they're gonna target you and your family because it's like a regime trying
Oh
to
man.
quench the noise. But anyways, well, we escaped that, and
Mhm.
you're basically giving up your entire livelihood. My dad, he was an architect in Vietnam, making good money. Um, he was a high school graduate, a college degree graduate in Vietnam. Which meant a lot because
Yeah.
the opportunity to go to get higher education isn't a thing. I think besides my dad, the highest level was middle school.
Mhm.
So coming to America, his degree didn't matter anymore. Because you need like the right accreditations, and
Yeah.
Vietnamese architecture is not the same as American
American.
architecture. So they did take on these crappy jobs, washing dishes,
Mhm.
waiting tables and such. And
Yeah.
it's long hours being on your feet, constantly working.
Mhm.
Because that's all they had. It's all they knew how to do. I think at the time, and I can't say for them, but it's tough to go back to school when you don't know English. When you don't
Yeah.
have the confidence of knowing something, it really messes with you. So they confided in the Vietnamese, restaurants because they can speak Vietnamese, they can make relationships and such. But the cap was very low. If you only have a Vietnamese degree and you're waiting tables and washing dishes. And for my brothers, it was the same thing: learning English,
Same.
adapting to a new culture. Since they're a lot older than me,
Mhm.
the challenges were a lot more difficult. Since I'm younger, I could absorb everything. I could make more mistakes, but for them, they're older. The
Mhm.
expectations were a lot different, and they had their own challenges, especially my older brother. He has gone through so much crap, and there are a lot of scars that he has received because of it. But he
Mhm.
doesn't. I think for me, he is the prime example of the American dream. He graduated middle school degree. In Vietnam, you get a degree for finishing
Wow.
middle school. But yeah, college graduate. Um, he went into computer science. grinded his way through making decent income as a family. And I think for me, he's the living embodiment of the American dream. He started literally from rags, had nothing, had no money.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot as we moved to Hawaii, but he literally had nothing.
Wow.
Like, when I say nothing, like some people are like, oh, I have nothing, but he still have money. He had nothing.
Nothing.
So he worked for every penny that he has. Hard work is that's probably, he probably might be one of the hardest workers I know. Doesn't complain, just puts his head down and works, which I think sometimes works against him. But hey, he has worked so hard and he finds different ways to support the family. No complaints. Basically, literally my hero. My middle brother, yeah, same thing. My middle brother, same thing. He worked his way up. Didn't complain, kept working, kept grinding. For many years, I just remember all the times where he would come home from school and just like say hi, eat a little bit, and go to work. And now
that's right there, yeah.
Harvard medical doctor. So as for me, sometimes I feel like I'm like a failure because I haven't reached those heights. Yes, I haven't reached those heights yet, but I need to remind myself that whatever path they took, that's the path they took, and whatever path I take, I just want to make sure that it's something that I want to do. Because yes, I have been pressured to be a doctor, I've been pressured to be a lawyer, but those professions, they didn't resonate with me. So I'm gonna take my own path. It might take me longer to reach my financial dreams or whatnot, but I'm having a blast going there, so I can't complain. I did have it a lot easier than my brothers. I will not complain. I find my life is probably the easiest of the two of them, but that doesn't mean that it's so easy that it's not hard.
Yeah, it's so easy to complain about many things, and for your brothers to just like eliminate that out of their lifestyle, it's give them props for that.
Yep, and it's just my brothers are just like your brother. They see no excuses. Let's work hard. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
When we came from nothing, so there's literally we can't lose. And that's the formula. If you work hard enough with the right goal and the right strategy, you'll get there. It takes a lot longer, but you'll get there. And now I truly see it. It's just a lot of people make so many excuses of like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, I don't have the right connections. My family's not rich.
I'll do this the other day. I'll do this sometime next week.
Exactly. It's just if you do it now, many years from now, you'll get it. It's not gonna be as easy as people with the resources or people with parents with money, but you'll get there as long as you follow your own path. And that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned from my family. Like looking back now, just follow your own path, keep working hard, and you'll get there.
Inspiring.
that is not. I'm ready to go destroy the day after this podcast.
I'm gonna conquer the day. That's inspired.
Like, I got my wisdom pulled 3 days ago, and I thought to myself, I can just take the day off. I don't have to work out, to run, but I worked out like the day after my wisdom, and I felt good. There's no excuses because.
You don't? Yeah.
I think that's just been imprinted in my brain. It's like, no matter if I'm hurt, no matter if I got this going on, I still need to learn. I still need to read. I still need to work out.
Yeah.
Because I need to. It's kind of like obsessive.
It is. We built that. We condition ourselves to just consistently do these things, and
I feel like I got a chip on my shoulder to be great. I don't know how you feel, but
yes, for sure. Just hearing a lot of these inspiring stories, I'm
getting fired up.
Yeah. Right. Basically, you could say that. So.
On another note, after my tooth recovers, we do need to celebrate with some food.
We will. Yeah. Whenever that may be.
Next week.
Okay, next week. Perfect.
Next week I'm healed up. That's
You chewing all chewing some
chewing
Korean
on the left
barbecue.
side only. For sure. And then I would love to hear more stories about Korea.
Yep.
That's the one thing I love about eating with you and the guys. Is like I love learning about you guys, and I love learning what you guys done,
Yeah.
where you guys been. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to that.
All right. In the meantime, recommendation of the week, reflection of the week.
Reflection.
What do you got, Kenny?
I have a reflection of the week, kind of thing. So, well, what is it? We recently posted something on our social media with a quote: "If can, can. If no can, still can." So, this particular quote comes from the former Hawaii County Mayor Billy Kinoy, who recently passed, and he has been such a, the Mr. Aloha, because he not only helped the Hawaii County community, but just all of the state pretty much. And his personality into, reaching out to people and asking them how he can help is, just like kind of like a god pretty much. But he definitely had a strong local influence on everybody to achieve anything that you want in life, no matter what obstacles or challenges. So he actually spoke at not my college graduation, but I guess the year before. So he spoke at Hawaii Pacific University's commencement the year before I graduated, and I would have to say that is one of the best speeches I've heard, because growing up as a local kid, you hear pidgin being used, and for him to use pidgin at a college graduation, it's like, a lot of people would say, oh, maybe be more professional, but he was also professional. And he was telling his whole life story about it. And he was saying how, he had like a 1.8 GPA and ended up becoming a lawyer later on. His parents were also, kind of was doubtful, a little like jokingly doubtful because of his GPA and just his whole personality. Didn't expect him to become a lawyer. He specifically said his parents thought that he would probably need a lawyer later on. But yeah, from there, he just made sure that a lot of people understood that, no matter, what life's challenges bring you, you just have to set your mind straight, and, there's a strategy to everything, and you need to just focus on you and making sure that you're achieving to your best potential in everything that you do. So if can, but if no can, still can.
No excuses.
No
I love
excuses.
It.
Yeah.
I love it.
But for you,
I think it's a reflection, and I don't know if you kept up with all the trading stocks and all the memes that's been going on.
Yeah.
But basically, a short story is that GameStop and a whole bunch of other stocks have skyrocketed due to a bunch of Redditors and a lot of people going against the traditional financial system. And we will talk more about this when I have my friend on next week, talking more about investing and such. But basically, my takeaway was that there are only so many times in history, especially investing history, that you'll have an opportunity to make some money, like a lot of money. And for me, I was a little skeptical, as I should be. But it was looking, of course, in hindsight, you can be, oh, I should have invested and made all this money. But there are only so many opportunities in investing that will make you a lot of money, and this is one of them. And I won't make the same mistake twice. And I guess it goes into the biggest lesson of, if you do see an opportunity, the things that this has probably never happened before in stock market history, investing history. It's certainly, I need to look at it more, and I probably need to take some action instead of some inaction. Of course, I didn't lose much by not taking any action, but like I said, the biggest takeaway, sometimes life presents you with opportunities and you need to reach out and take it. And that's what I've been thinking about like the last week or so. And, who knows when's the next time, this opportunity is going to present itself, because a lot of people have made a lot of money, like life-changing money.
Yep.
Like for me, investing is cool and making money is awesome, but it also serves as a vehicle towards financial freedom. Yeah. And who knows, if I could have invested a little money here, I would have made some money that would have helped me reach my goal sooner. Mm-hmm. So, but in an overall aspect, kind of the perspective is, if there's an opportunity, just take it and see where it will take you. Whether you lose money or not, or wherever it teaches you a failure, it's still a lesson. And sometimes history will give you an opportunity, and you just need to take it and you need to live with it. So yeah, that's my reflection of the week. Like, opportunities are so rare here and there. Of course, you need to vet every single opportunity, but yeah, sometimes it's just best to jump on it and ride the wave.
Why not?
Cool. Yeah. Other than that, this was an amazing episode. Like, mm-hmm. like something that's, I think it speaks to the human soul. Mm-hmm. I love it when we do episodes like this, and when we become a little vulnerable and we share things about our past, and we look at and we examine other people close in our lives. And yeah, this is one of those episodes that it will definitely become one of my favorite episodes.
Yes, same here. It's like, we're just inspired by both of our stories, and yeah, sharing vulnerabilities, all of that. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure you noticed this, but every time we do these kind of like vulnerable, sensitive episodes like that, I feel like our bond gets a little closer, because I get to learn more about you. I get to learn more about how you're feeling during that time. And I think I got told you, like, I really just wanted to start this podcast to like, deepen our relationship. So
yes,
objective achieved.
Through open and honest conversations.
Yes, that's the only way. Cool.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning into another, one of my favorite episodes so far. You can catch us here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, as well as like, comment, share with your friends as well. We're also on social media as well, so stay connected, follow us, and we'll be posting a lot of different things soon, like quotes and just tips, and also just clips of future episodes. We're also on Spotify. Follow us and listen to us wherever you go. And thanks again for tuning in to, another fresh episode. And we hope that we can catch you again next week. And if you have any other, topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to comment. And we'll see you again. Take care.